Hello, library friends. Welcome to Story Time. I'm here with my friend Gussie and my friend Scotty and my friend Francis, and they are ready for a story. I hope you're ready for a story too. But first, I have a question for you. Now, I know that we are in the season of spring right now, and soon it will be summer. But have you ever wondered why the leaves change color in the fall? Now, I know some of you who are in school probably have studied this in science, and you probably remember a big word, chlorophyll. It has something to do with chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the green pigment in the leaf of the tree or plant. And something happens in the fall that causes that chlorophyll to start to fade away. In the fall, the daylight hours become shorter. We don't have as many daylight hours. And also the air temperature cools. And these changes cause the chlorophyll to start to fade. And when it starts to fade, the other colors in the leaf start to show up. The other pigment, yellow, orange, or red. So that is the scientific reason why the leaves change color. And I'm sure that there are books where you can learn a little bit more in-depth information about that, or you can get your mom and dad to help you do a search online and you can read about information on why the leaves change color. And you can read about that big word, chlorophyll. But you know what? I know another reason why the leaves change color. I know a fairy tale. Actually, it's a fairy tale that I made up. Do you know what a fairy tale is? A fairy tale is a children's story. And it's a make-believe story. And it's about magical characters and magical places. And so I made up a story about why the leaves change color. And most fairy tales that I remember and have ever read always begin with once upon a time. So I'll begin my fairy tale now. Once upon a time, in the land of fairies, there lived a fairy named Copper who had no idea what kind of wonderful, awesome fairy she was. Now, in the land where Copper lived, all the days were like springtime, and all the nights were like summertime. And Copper didn't look like any other fairy that I had ever seen there. Nope. All the fairies in this land were fair. They had light-colored hair that sparkled with green. And their wings were transparent. They were clear. And you know what else? They wore flowers for clothes. And the light of the sun gave their skin such a beautiful glow. Oh, but Copper, this rare fairy, she was beautiful. Yes, she was, but she was different from the others. Her hair shimmered the color of a brand new penny. And her wings were leaves of gold. It was her skin that sparkled, the color of bronze, and leaves of red, orange, and yellow adorned her hair, her clothes, and her feet. Now, Copper enjoyed playing with these other fairies and doing what the other fairies did, tending their spring and summer gardens and singing and dancing into the night. But deep down inside, Copper longed for something but she didn't know what. Now, the other fairies didn't know why Copper was different, and they didn't mind that she was different. But you know, everyone has an opinion, and some believe that maybe, perhaps, it was because she was born from the sprout of an orange chrysanthemum instead of a dandelion. But there was one who knew the truth. One evening when night was drawing near, Copper sat high up in her most favorite tree, and she waited for the fireflies to appear. She was fascinated with their bright yellow glow, and even though she was a tiny bit shy, that night she thought she'd tell them so. Slowly but surely, one by one, the fireflies came out. Off and on, their gentle light would glow. Now, the fireflies were just as fascinated about Copper as she was fascinated about them, so ever cautiously they began to venture near. Now, it just so happened that Copper's colorful leaves reminded the fireflies of a place that once had a season where the days grew short and the nights became cool. The leaves on the trees that once were green changed color as if painted by an artist's brush, red, orange, and yellow. It also just so happened that the time was right for this particular season, and the fireflies agreed to take Copper there, and she agreed to follow. But on their journey, something happened. On the way, there was a cottage, and in that cottage, there lived a witch who enjoyed teasing the fireflies and trying to catch them as they ventured past. On this night, when Copper was with the fireflies, passing the witch's cottage, the old witch jumped out from behind an oak tree with her jarring lid, trying to catch a firefly, but catching Copper instead. Trapped, Copper was in a pickle jar. There were tiny holes in the lid, but they were too small to get through. There was no way out and nowhere to hide. The old witch chuckled, waved bye to those flies, and with a nod and a wink, opened the door of her cottage and carried Copper inside. What do you suppose that old witch is up to? I'm almost afraid to continue the story. Do you think we should wait and maybe finish it another day? Are you sure you want to hear the rest of the story? I mean, that witch, do you think she's a bad witch? I'm afraid. I'm not sure. What do you think she's going to do? Are you sure you want to hear the rest of the story? You're positive. Okay. All right, where was I? Ah, yes. Copper was in a pickle, so to speak. Copper trembled as she watched from the jar as the old woman began tending her cauldron that smoked with the scent of leaves. kind of like Copper's leaves. Copper cried, "Oh, she's going to eat me. I just know it. Oh, where are those blasted fireflies? Oh." But the old witch showed not a care and went about her work as if Copper wasn't even there, never looking up, a grin upon her face, as if she knew a secret that was only meant for her, mixing potions of color, a dash of red, a pinch of gold. She cackled a couple of times and went down some steps that led to a cellar, I suppose, and came back up with flower seeds. What kind, Copper didn't know. And so throughout the night, Copper's curiosity grew as she peered through the glass of her prison and watched what the old witch would do. Now, Copper tried to stay awake. But her eyes grew heavy. Soon she fell asleep, but she was awakened by the sound of the lid being taken from the jar. Startled, she looked up just in time to see the beady eyes of the witch looking down for a peep. The old witch squinted her eyes in close inspection, raised her brows and gave a toothless smile to her tiny specimen. Seemed satisfied with what she saw as she carefully removed Copper from the jar. Oh, I can't bear to look. Oh. Copper feared what the witch would do next. But it was something she didn't expect. The old witch giggled. And she danced a little jig. She jumped up and down. She laughed so hard she rolled on the floor. And then you know what she did? She got up and she looked Copper straight in the eyes and said the words she could never deny. "You are an autumn fairy." That is what you've always been. That is what you were born to be. My friends, the fireflies, brought you here to bring the season I hold so dear. Fall, the greatest season of all. The old witch explained. The seasons got stuck in summer and spring, and you are just what I need to get them going again. With my brew, I'll teach you the art of painting the leaves. We'll paint them with magic, she shouted with glee. The air will be cool again. I'll fly on my broom again in front of the moon again. And at that very moment, Copper knew what she was born to do. The story goes that the witch, with her potion, gave Copper the notion to be the autumn fairy. Oh, whatever the reason, Copper happily flew all about, sprinkling purple purple, chrysanthemum seeds, and fairy dust, of course, changing the leaves from the color of green to the color of rust. And the air turned cool again, and that old witch flew on her broom again in front of the moon again. And to this day, when the days grow short and the nights become cool, if you look up into the trees, you may find evidence of the autumn fairy. You may even find her taking a break, chatting with fireflies, for goodness sake. But just as the old witch said, so forever she shall be Copper, the autumn fairy. The end. I hope you enjoyed my fairy tale, and I hope it inspires you to write your own fairy tale. I sure would like to hear it. Hope you have a good day. Bye now. Keep reading.